lineups. Renmen's, I think, is probably one of the most unique. Mid-range Paladin, I don't think even does this justice. His Paladin deck is the Mechano Egg, Carnivorous Cube, Meat Wagon, Spirit Singer, Umbra deck. I would even put it more than the Secret Hunter, which is the most represented archetype in the entire field.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of matchup that Renmen's looking for. Swidz brought a control lineup, and Swidz has been one of the most consistent players. I mean, he loves his odd control warrior or any kind of defensive slow warrior. I've seen Swidz bring Dead Man's Hand Warrior as recently as a couple months ago.
Yep.
It's like something that you don't really see fairly often, but yet this guy has gotten top 8 at a few tour stops this year and went deep in playoffs. Can't speak enough high praise about how the French community is just really underrated by the English-speaking community just because we don't really connect very often to them in terms of direct interfacing. Now, Renmen, we've seen him in championships, and he's playing this Clone Gatherer Priest. Why is it all the rage, TJ?
Well,
greetings.
Sano, I think, brought up good points in the pre-show, where this is the last chance for a lot of players to qualify for the World Championship, and Control Priest just has kind of more consistent matchups across the board, right? It can go over the top against Control, and it also has a lot of game, especially with the Wild Pyromancer package against aggro. But this Cloning Gallery Priest is very explosive, and against Control decks, especially Control decks that can gain a lot of health, the recurring pressure of being able to bring back big minions over and over again is a very big tool to have against Control decks. And it still does have game against aggro too, just not as much as Control Priest because you don't have access to Duskbreaker or Wild Pyromancer because you don't want it in your pool. But it still has Spirit Lash. It still has the ability to cheat out things early on with Shadow Essence, with coins from the Gilded Gargoyle. So it has ways to stabilize. It's just a little bit more vulnerable. But Renmen, like you mentioned, got the matchup that he wanted. He got Control decks. And I feel like the Cloning Gallery Priest gives you additional win percentage points against a control field than Control Priest does.
Oh, yeah. I mean, specifically, this is one of his better matchups outside of, say, the OTK Paladin versus Odd Warrior, which can't really do anything. Not much can be done by the Odd Warrior side. But, you know, the Cloning Priest is just super powerful because of its late-game burst potential, and we'll see if Renmen needs it, and he might have to. Swidz has a lot of good defensive tools. It doesn't seem like Renmen can do any early-game pressure. I mean, things like Lyra and whatnot, or like Lich King, they're more like solid options if you need it, but you pretty much want to go for the Valen Malygos kills.
Yeah, that polymorph on Velen and Malygos are crucial because that is pretty much the only way you can win, because at some point, Renman's going to be able to stick those big spell-boosting minions and be able to kill you from whatever health. 35 is like the max. You can get above 35 with Arcane Artificers, but a lot of times that means you have to use removal on nothing. It's very rare because of the way the matchup works that you get to play Jaina, play the Arcane Artificer, kill something, and still be at high life totals afterwards. So it's, I don't know, it's just a tough matchup. And you have to have drawn the polymorphs before those big minions get online, which can happen very early on in the game, especially with Shadow Essence. And Renmen looking for something specific, probably just the Cloning Gallery at this point.
Yeah, Cloning Gallery, Shadow Essence is okay, serviceable, but not as good as the Cloning Gallery. And then, of course, option 3 is the Diamond Spellstone, so that way you can start charging it now. Renmen is especially powerful with the Cloning Gallery Priest because he has 3 coins. Oh, Shadow Essence into the Malygos.
And this
That's
is just
really annoying for Swidz.
A copied version of Malygos. So if he doesn't polymorph this, it's going to go into the pool once it dies. If he polymorphs this, there's still another Malygos in the deck that he'll have to polymorph.
Yeah.
So if you get 2 Malygos and 2 Velen, and the Mage only has 2 polymorphs, then you're going to be able to stick 1 at some point in the game, and Mage is not pressuring. The one thing is, though, Swidz does have the Hexlord Malacras, which puts a copy of your opening hand into your deck, or into your hand. And polymorph was in the opening hand for Swidz. So he will have access to 3 polymorphs throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, Hexlord Malacras, a new legendary minion from Roscon's Rumble that gives you a copy of your starting hand, excluding Malacras himself. So, you know, you don't get to go infinite Malacrass doesn't put Malacrass into your own hand.
Unlucky.
So on and so forth. Good. You know, we've already had a lot of infinite resources in Hearthstone right now. I think we're okay with Hearthstone Malacrass just being like a supercharged Ancient of Lore hero.
That you kind of have some semblance of control over with the mulligan phase? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point is that you're drawing cards from your deck.
Yeah.
That you know that you're going to get. It's fairly consistent in the sense that you know the outcome. Now, Renmen, another Shadow Visions. Still no sign of the Cloning Gallery or
the Spellstone.
The Spellstone.
Yeah.
This is really annoying.
One of the downsides of having a deck that's primarily spells is that Shadow Visions is not as consistent. Yeah,
and that's why you see some players hold and wait on to draw just a couple more spells, because if you eliminate one, your percentages, you know, increase a lot, especially if you get the reroll to another Shadow Visions.
Yeah. He did eliminate one with the draw because he drew a second Holy Smite, but still. Pain, Lash, Visions, Vivid Nightmare, Eternal Servitude, Mass Hysteria, Shadow Essence, Spellstone, Psychic Scream, and Cloning Gallery, all in the
yeah, there's like 8
plus
spells.
Mind Blast. So if you think about it that way, it's not even like that likely that even after 2 he picks up a specific one. I think it's maybe slightly over 50%.
Yeah, I was like, I think there's still 8 spells in his deck remaining.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. There's just a lot that's going on. And Malacrass going to add another Polymorph?
Yep.
That's really effective. And, you know, I like that Swidz wasn't, like, even if he knows that he has a second Polymorph effectively through the Malacrass, he's not going to pull the trigger early on just the 5/5 Malagos, because the real key to the huge combo damage is actually Prophet Valen, because everything stacks and then doubles. Yeah. So you get all of your, like, Thaunos, you get your Malagos buff, and after all your spell damage gets added to your base, then it doubles, and that's when Mind Blast just one-shots you.
Yep. Renmen mousing over Lyra, looking like he's going to go for that. He's got 3 coins in hand. Probably was searching for Spellstone because he realized that a Lyra turn would mean he would get that Spellstone juiced up real nice and big.
Oh, yeah. And I wonder how much plated Beetle might play a factor as well. You know, gain that armor count, and if Swidz can keep his life total full, just becomes a little bit more tricky for Renmen to burst out.
Quickly. What even is that spell?
That is a card that you should never put in your deck, even if you're playing against a show match against me. It's called Surrender to Madness.
Oh, I was playing Golden Copy, so I didn't even recognize it.
Oh,
or
man.
I just blocked it out from my mind completely.
Such a traumatic experience on show.
Oh, jeez. I didn't have time to submit deck, so I just threw together Surrender to Madness Priest.
Oh, my.
What a mistake.
So Polymorph choice here. Swidz wants to remove any possibility of that card being revived and giving Renmen a Hail Mary, perhaps?
Yeah, also, I mean, it just adds a sheep to the death pool, so if Spellstone were to come out...
Yeah. Oh, boy. When you see a Polymorph... well, Renmen should also hypothetically be able to know. Like, it's just difficult to hand track, because a lot of people don't play Malacrass.
And he really just doesn't have any other good options to play out there.
It's true.
Mass Hysteria doesn't clear... I mean, I guess he could go for Eternal Servitude onto a Malagos, but even then it's like, why not just play the more expensive one and get it out of the way so you have Eternal Servitude for later on?
I wonder.
This is one of the most awkward Cloning Gallery Priest games I've seen in a while. Just nothing coming together for Renmen.
The thing about the Cloning Gallery Priest, I always feel like, you know, the Priest ends up steamrolling me or getting rolled over. You know, I really feel like the matches are super duper close. Obviously, that's just anecdotal evidence. Like, I'm sure I've had close games, but it feels like this Priest often crushes or gets crushed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm alone in feeling that way, TJ.
And that's kind of the point I was making earlier, why a lot of players brought Control Priest, because you always have something to do. You never get to those awkward hands. Well, you do sometimes, but not as often.
He has to scream the Malacrass back. Swidz can get even more armor and more Polymorphs.
Oh, jeez.
Ooh. Renmen gets 2 more coins, and that could be disaster if he ends up burning a really valuable card if his hand fills up to full. And I wonder if Swidz is going to go for that. Let's say he burns, I don't know, what is AoE? Oh yeah, burns Valen. That'd be the key. But I'm talking about like what AoE would he want to use here?
Yeah, that's the big thing. And I guess once you get to the point where Renmen's built up that big board, it's hard for any of your AoE to hit. So I don't know how valuable, say, a card like Flame Strike is.
Yeah, Flame Strike is probably the first candidate to go because Dragon's Fury has way more damage potential.
Flame Strike is best when you can sort of set it up with a Blizzard and then Flame Strike and clean up afterwards.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it's worth it. I guess he can evaluate with the pickup there from Stonehill, but doesn't find anything good. And we'll see what the burn is. Master. Okay, that's effectively useless.
Not a big deal. Renmen gonna try once more. Finally discovers the Spellstone, but he still is missing the cloning gallery to get everything into the pool.
And right now, I think Spellstone, even a fully juiced up Spellstone, would just bring back a Sheep, a Malagos, and a Gilded Gargoyle.
Well,
it wouldn't. There's not a 4th different friendly minion that's died, I don't believe.
Oh, okay. All right. You're right. It's not a very good Spellstone Resurrect either.
So if he can get a Velen to die, which would be very difficult.
It'd be a very consistent Spellstone and he'd win.
Yeah, I don't even know how he'd get Velen to... How he'd be able to kill off his own Velen. He'd have to Velen... No,
he can Velen, Vivid Nightmare the Velen, and then...
Holy Smite.
Holy Smite it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that honestly might be a play if he... Whoa. Okay.
I think he's just trying to charge his Spellstone up, and also he spend his cards because he just has way too many cards.
Yeah.
Things like Surrender to Madness is just useless. And also, he's at low life. You know, Swidz did a really good job pressuring the life total just to make Renmen a little scared. Spook him.
Come dance to my song.
Like it. Swidz picking up extra ways to gain armor just in case.
So he's also not playing Lich King.
Yeah. Huh.
I wonder why.
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to think like what specifically he's trying to bait from Renmen, or maybe he's trying to save the Lich King for specific like threat checks. So like maybe Renmen does something to the board, then you play Lich King.
But the opportunity to get Death Grip and steal a crucial minion from Renmen's hand,
it's true,
is pretty big. And there's no natural Shadow Word Deaths in Renmen's deck. He doesn't have Mind Control. You've seen the spells from Lyra, which was only 2.
Yeah,
it was
plus
the Twilight's Call,
damage.
plus the Surrender to Madness. Plus it's just a big amount of pressure. And there's not really a big swing turn that they can do either, because he already has board control. He can't like polymorph something then Lich King. Oh yeah, it's a 10-10. It'll get polymorphed, but...
Yeah, it actually doesn't really matter if Renmen had a 100-100 Lich King at this point. Swidz gonna look to try and cement this game position. Doom Pact, not what Renmen's looking for, although he might need it if he ends up having to stabilize. Does Swidz kill off this Radiant Elemental? I feel like letting Radiant Elemental live is always just such a big mistake.
Yeah.
It's so crucial to the deck. People are talking about Death Knights. They're talking about quests. They're even talking about the legendary weapons rotating out. The one thing that people don't talk about are the fundamental building blocks that really help the classes flourish with all different kinds of archetypes. And Radiant Elemental is one of them. I think it's going to be one of the cards that Priest missed the most.
Yeah.
As well as, of course, Shadow Reaper and doing the Sending Screen.
They do a lot of tools to play around with, though. There's a lot of cards that are weird that might fit into certain archetypes that just don't right now. The beauty of Rotation Day.
It's the promised land known as
Such
2019 rotation.
Such an exciting time. Well, I feel like we've said the same thing for every rotation so far, and then...
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be something really exciting to look forward to, but at the same time, you know, the meta that we have even right now, it's just, there's so many different kinds of decks that you can have for almost every archetype.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that Big Spell Mage even has this ability to fight back because of things like Hex Lord Malacrast is really interesting to me, because it's such an unconventional way to deal with a combo deck. Renmen just has junk. All kind of defensive cards, and he cannot afford to burn his Prophet Valen if he plays Doom Pact. Plus, it's not even a big board. Swidz still holding on to the Lich King.
He still doesn't want to play it. Maybe he wants to bait out another Psychic Scream first. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can be really afraid if your opponent's playing Dragon Priest, for example, because then they can not only destroy the Lich King easily, but they can Acolyte plus Cabal Shadow Priest, you know, and steal it. Like, you know, if Swidz had the Lich King and drew a little bit extra damage, maybe this game would be over, but he's just taking it really slow and patiently. That's how firmly in control he feels. And he's right, because Renmen has not been able to do anything. He has to Doom Pact. Oh, he actually can play his Prophet Valen and then coin Doom Pact.
Oh, yeah. I think that actually might be...
It's what he wants to do with less minions before, so he loses less burst.
Less burst, yeah.
But to see at the time, he almost has no more health. And then Swidz, who's waited very patiently to play Lich King, is he going to play Lich King now, TJ? I want to say yes.
If he hasn't played it at this point, I don't know. Now that he's seen the second screen, be most likely time that he plays it.
I'm assuming this is a draw first. Sees the second Mind Blast, or sorry, just one of the Mind Blasts in the deck. Just need to pick up a little extra damage.
Ooh.
Death Coil or Frostborn.
Army of the Dead. The worst. All right. Valen, coin, Doom Pact. Or not.
Is he going for another combo that we're not thinking about right now?
If he plays Spellstone, it'd be Radiant Elemental, Sheep, Gilded Gargoyle, Malagos.
Yeah, it's not very good.
He would die. He wouldn't be able to kill off the Lich King. There'd be no taunts in the way. All right, this is surprising to me.
Yeah, if you don't toss in the Prophet Valen, you should know that Polymorph is in the hand, right? Because, oh, he loses the Cloning Gallery. Revives the other Malagos. Swidz can deal with this one, too.
Deal with that one and keep putting a minion into play to keep pressuring Renmen.
Actually, I realized the Spellstone doesn't feel very strong anymore, because look at how few cards remains in this deck. It's at 5 cards remaining. Can he go for big damage? Doesn't even get Malagos back! Malagos dead twice! Not like this, DJ!
Maybe he was hoping to stick Malagos and then play Valen from hand to get the burst. Because he's got Vivid Nightmare as well. So we could Prophet Valen Vivid Nightmare.
Reality.
But I feel like getting Prophet Valen into the pool earlier would have allowed him the opportunity to maybe even just kill his opponent the next turn if he were to pick up a additional Mind Blast. Well, he still has... He has 4 coins. So Prophet Valen, Vivid Nightmare... Coin, Mind Blast, coin, Mind Blast is still game.
Okay.
So maybe that's what he's just been holding on to the whole time.
I see that as a possibility for sure.
Yeah. Because that's 40 damage. Because each of those Mind Blasts would be 20, because it doubles it, then doubles it again.
And, I mean, Swidz could, well...
Took that Mind Blast and we doubled it.
He actually has to deal with this Arcane Artificer, though.
Yeah, so to keep him in range.
Right, so then he loses damage there. Dude, this sheep keeps coming back.
Man. The problem for Swidz is that he can't kill him.
I don't know if he needs to. Renmen's just going to eventually pass out from the fatigue.
Well,
he's gonna get another polymorph and another plated beetle.
But at some point, he has that second Mind Blast in those last 4 cards, unless he's used it and I missed it. So no, he's got 40 damage at some point.
Yeah, but he's at 45. And gonna go up higher because there's another plated beetle coming.
Can he get 5 extra damage?
Dude, the value off of Hexlord Malakraz in this matchup is absurd. That's pretty dope.
It is. He needed to keep that Holy Smite and get another coin from Gilded Gargoyle. And have Prophet Velen, Vivid Nightmare, coin Holy Smite, coin Mind Blast, coin Mind Blast. Yeah.
But he still wouldn't have enough damage.
Yeah, he would. Because that'd be 40 plus 8.
Oh, and he'd be at 48.
Yeah.
Unless he draws Jaina the next turn or another anomaly.
Yeah, but I think at that point, that was Renmen's only chance to win. Use the Mind Blast for something. I just still...
6 mana do nothing. Renmen's conceded.
Yikes.
Hex Lord Malakraz. Where are the Dragonhawks at? Game 1 goes to the big Spell Mage, which was one of the decks that we had chance to qualify in the Winter Championships next month.
This is the last time that we'll have game number 2 of the first round 2 matchup in the Europe Winter Playoffs.
I'm so emotional right now.
It is a very emotional moment.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I look forward to every season of playoffs, and that is game 2 of round 2. Just love it. There's nothing like it, Dan. What a rush.
What a rush. Let's go. Speaking of rush, we have some rush minions coming in from Swidz, and this kind of warrior is so interesting because it's not an odd warrior. It's got Dead Man's Hand, but it's also got like just some weird stuff like Geosculptor Yip, which is an 8-mana legendary that summons a minion based on how much armor you have with a maximum of 10. And that card, I feel like, is used when you want to, play fun decks, or you're Brian Gibbler. And you just want to recruit people, or, you want to recruit warrior your opponents down and then post on your website for the karma.
This is a good old Swidz special right here, Dan.
Is it?
He's
been playing
Dead Man's Hand Warrior since before Dead Man's Hand was even a card.
Well, the thing is, it's only one Dead Man's Hand. He doesn't even have the ability to go infinite. Like, he can't... Usually the whole point of Dead Man's Hand, which shuffles the entire copy of your hand into your deck, you usually have 2 of them.
Yeah, but you don't really need to go infinite. You just need a little bit of extra resources to win those fatigue battles.
Okay, so it's more of the Archbishop Benedictus effect.
Yes.
It's like you just wanted to extend your game a little bit longer.
Yes, except you're putting cards that you chose to put in your deck in the first place into your hand instead of just a bunch of random stuff from your opponent that may not synergize with your other stuff.
It's just got some strange stuff like 2 weapons projects. What am I going to do with 2 of them? I mean, I guess that they're...
You're going to play them!
Well, yeah, but it's kind of like the whole point of weapons project is sort of like an ooze effect, but gives you a little bit more... a different approach to it. You destroy your opponent's weapons, so if they're playing Cube Warlock, which Renmen has, or Malagos Druid, which, a few other people have.
Or, Paladin.
Or Paladin, or you shut down your opponent's Super Collider. Like, those are all useful things. It's a very unusual deck list, and that's why it's so exciting to watch a guy like Swidz. If you're into that warrior stuff. Which I think after the previous round,
you're into that kind of thing,
people might be cooling off a little bit on the warrior hype train, just because I think they got thoroughly satisfied, TJ.
And now they're gonna get thoroughly dissatisfied.
I don't know. Well, maybe we're about to hit the climax.
Ah, here we go.
Geosculptor Yip.
Geosculptor Yip is the ultimate climax of this deck.
Dude, you can shuffle in 2 Omega Assemblies and Geosculptor Yip and Ziliax, as well as a couple of rush minions. That is a high-value Dead Man's Hand.
Yes, it is.
Is it time? Not really. I think you want to kill that Malagos first. But, Swidz has the ability to play for a different win condition, which is survive the burst and then, you know, drain Renmen out of resources. If he ends up taking it to the late game, he doesn't have to pressure his opponent out of the game.
Yeah. Renmen faced with kind of an awkward hand again. He's not drawing his big stuff. He's drawing a lot of his support spells.
Well.
And he just has another pass turn. You can see him. He's kind of,
What's the best 9-mana minion, TJ?
King Crush.
But you can't attack with it, so it's just an 8/8.
It doesn't matter.
That's hard for Priest to deal with.
Sleepy Dragon's pretty good as well. I think in this situation, Sleepy Dragon might be the best.
I was thinking about like Ysera or something else, but
oh yeah, Ysera.
I mean, it's effectively the same thing.
Ysera, you could shuffle dream cards back into your deck with Dead Man's Hand. Probably not that good.
It helps you get some longevity.
I don't know, dream cards aren't as good as Lich King cards.
Oh,
in
wow.
my personal opinion.
I mean, that was basically a Flame Strike type effect on the board. And you can't do anything else.
Oh,
It
man.
just passes.
Geosculptor Yip is not a battle cry. It is a permanent end-of-turn effect. So every turn that survives on the board, Swidz will get another opportunity to summon a big minion with the armor gain.
Does he even want to gain armor? I mean, another 9-mana minion, there's a handful of dragons that can really mess up Renmen. Like, let's say Swidz summons his own Malygos, or he just has the Ysera.
Yeah.
I mean, 10-mana minions are great, too. You can get Tarantus, you can get Deathwing. Those are still very powerful cards to just end the game. I wonder if there's any, like, 9-mana minions that could absolutely sabotage them. None come to mind immediately. There's definitely a handful of cards that don't. Ultrasaur, fantastic stats, and Renmen just used things like, you know, Mass Dispel without having the ability to Psychic Scream. He might have to Mass Dispel, Mass Hysteria again.
Even then, Ultrasaur still will be on the board.
Okay. Now he goes back, but you know, Swidz has that armor ready to go. And that's kind of the advantage of him keeping his armor count high so that he's ready for the Malygos.
I think the big question I have about this deck is when to pull the trigger on Dead Man's Hand. Do you wait until super late in the game when you know that your draw density isn't as high, so you can guarantee that you're drawing the cards you shuffle sooner than you would be? Or do you play early and just get the highest value possible?
All good questions.
Oh, man.
I don't know if Swidz is really thinking too hard about it right now. Just wants to remove and clear and develop as best he can. Honestly, just with the hand of like Ziliax, Militia Commander, and like 2 Omega Assemblies, it's good enough to shuffle. That's just so much like tempo through the form of Militia Commander, Ziliax trading, and then Omega Assembly for a lot of value in late game.
I must consider.
So, if Renmen can get this Prophet Veiling to die, what's his maximum damage, TJ? You're the guy with the abacus.
So it's way too much damage for Alright, so Spellstone will bring back Gilded Gargoyle, Malygos, and Velen. He's got 2 coins in hand with double Mind Blasts. So his Velen will die. Each of those Mind Blasts will deal 20 damage. Plus he has an extra coin for Holy Smite, so that'll deal 7 plus, so 14, so 54. Yeah, Swidz is dead.
Is the Spellstone fully upgraded? Doesn't look like it.
It doesn't matter because he's only had 3 minions. He'll only have had 3 minions die. 3
Okay.
different minions die.
Okay.
He can also throw in the Radiant Elemental, which means he has 6 mana Spellstone, 2 mana Vivid Nightmare, so he can even Vivid Nightmare his Velen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
still be able to double Mind Blast Holy Smite, which would mean it's 40 plus 40, so that's 80 damage plus 28. So 108 damage. Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of damage. Yeah, this deck is so good at that. And Swidz, you can get a little bit extra armor by trading.
It doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter, I think. If your math checks out, which I'm sure it does.
I think my math checks out, Dan.
Okay. So you're saying Renmen should have lethal in this spot?
He would be able to kill Swidz twice.
Yeah, looks good to me. Those extra coins coming in really clutch here.
Yeah, the coins do help, actually.
Yeah, the coins make it, like, basically perfect.
Yeah.
And I think Renmen
What?
Oh?
It doesn't matter.
I wonder.
Okay. I just want more max damage. Oh, he's going for the cloning? kill him? No. I don't know. I guess the order doesn't really matter too much if he's able to get
His
there.
spellstone was upgraded enough.
Right, you said there's only 3
There
minions.
was only 3 minions that died, so he
exactly.
didn't need the upgraded spellstone. He could have gone for the swag play and Vivid Nightmared the Velen for the swag play and done 108 damage.
Yeah.
Or just killed him with what a 1 Mind Blast and I don't know. There's no bonus for overkill in this event, Dan.
Yeah,
but he could have won.
I think this kind of goes to show you a little
Top 10 legend. I'm basically just perpetually rank 1 legend.
Yeah.
I never fall below rank 1.
That's right. You have access to the lever that you can pull anytime you want.
We don't speak about these.
It's a shame that you only use it whenever you're watching Kripparrian stream. All right, well, Renmen's going to turn to his OTK Death Knight Paladin. At least that was classified. Oh, sorry.
It's a mid-range control cube thing. I don't know how to classify this paladin.
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong lineup. You are correct.
It's also got the Immortal Prelate.
Yes.
Which shuffles back in your deck when it dies, and it keeps all of its enchantments.
Yeah. When I see Shivala, I see Uther, I see, like, you know, qualities. Okay, I think it's the Death Knight Paladin. It's actually the Egg Cube Paladin. But, you know, with Immortal Prelate, you would think, does it play into Undertaker?
Nope.
It does not.
Immortal Prelate's basically just there to give the deck game in fatigue matchups. Fatigue matchups that don't have access to silence or polymorph effects. So, it can be good. Putting 1 copy of your deck doesn't really give you too much of a downside because it gets pulled with Call to Arms. You can put buffs on it early and, you know, hope that you draw it, but it's really just there to give you some game against fatigue matchups. That's what I assume is why it's in the deck.
That makes sense to me.
It does mean, though, that if you're not buffing it, you have the chance to draw it early if you pull it early. So it clogs up your average draw if you're not buffing it. So we were discussing this yesterday among the casters, and this deck has one of the biggest potential turn 4 openings in the entire game. If you coin Spirit Singer Umbra and it doesn't get challenged, you play Meat Wagon, the Meat Wagon pulls the Mechano Egg, and then the Mechano Egg Death Rattle triggers and pulls and summons an 8/8. So you have a Meat Wagon, a Mechano Egg, an 8/8, and a Spirit Singer Umbra on board on turn 4. It's a pretty strong potential turn.
Yeah, it's kind of like Master Oakheart status or Barnes Yashiraj, just like you're so far ahead with stats on board and it's really hard to deal with. Even if you clear, there's like more stuff coming.
If you clear, then it summons another Mechano Egg and another 8/8. So it's like, it's a very difficult board to deal with.
I think that's why I like what Swidz is thinking here, which is just summoning or just trying to get as much board presence as possible. That being said, the egg comes out here and it's a cube on cube action.
Woo!
Wow.
Sticky.
All right. Slimy. Carnivoracy. So a play dead comes into Swidz's hand here. What can we do now? So what's the priority for Swidz? Is it build the board and then respond to whatever your opponent does? Or is it to answer the board first? In fact, you could split the difference here, just like Hunter's Mark and then like activate the cube 1 time. So you don't super all in on like having a board of 3/3s because your opponent does have a quality consecration in his deck. And can clear it.
If a Carnivorous Cubes eats Sherazin, is it
dormant? I don't think it
No.
does.
I'm going much dumber than that.
Oh.
Is it a vegetarian cube?
No, because you're a carnivore and you eat vegetables.
You ruined my joke.
No.
What? So there is a word for someone who only eats meat.
Oh.
Is there?
I promise you I passed 7th grade science class, but I really don't know what it is. I'm sorry. I'm failing you super hard. Ask me again in Americas when we're on a normal time schedule.
No, because wouldn't we be omnivores? I'm not a carnivore. I'm an omnivore.
Okay. Me too. I'm trying to work with you here, man. Part of being a good co-caster with TJ is to hop on the ride. Don't try to fight him. Just buckle up. Strap in. And I have no idea what's happening.
I'm pretty sure I'm right, though. And I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
I don't doubt that.
Meanwhile,
yeah, I think
Hearthstone is happening.
I like that Swidz is punting here for the Desarker Rexar. I don't think he's getting anywhere with these 3/3s. So if he cubes and Ziliax, like, he's not gonna do much. But he can develop zombies, and if he gets one big zombie, he gets Carnivorous Cube and Play Dead as well. And those eggs are really intimidating, but they need to do something. There's 0/5s, and they're great targets for some magnetism. Oh, there you go. Well, that works.
Yeah, Spiker Sheet, Ziliax.
Does he want a Consecration twice, though? There's 15 power on the board.
Yeah, I think Consecration twice. Consecration has limited use once you get into the realm of the Sucker Rexar, because a lot of times you can equality in single clear, because they're usually like a decent time. And now we can deal with one threat with Spiker Sheet next turn.
Yeah.
Or you can Immortal Prelate Spiker Sheet, but then he wouldn't get the activations from the egg, so probably wouldn't be the best.
Is that a Cave Hydra? Stealth Poison. Oh, man.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I thought he was going to go for the Rush, but Rush has 0 use case in this scenario, and also he doesn't need the lifesteal because...
Yeah, he's at full health.
He's at basically full health, so...
This is quite possibly the best combination for Swidz, because this minion being stealth means that Renmen can't easily clear if he had the damage to do so, so he gets the Carnivorous Cube action, but he also gets a really powerful attack before he even gets the cube on it.
Yeah. All right, let's see the correct positioning to the far right.
Yes, you actually want that 4/6 to pop the egg, I believe. So it's good to keep your Mechano Egg right there. Do you want the Loot Hoarder to also draw your card? You can place it on the far left, so that way if it attacks, it dies too. You
can always trade it in next turn.
True.
It doesn't play around Ironbeak Owl, but I think if Ironbeak Owl comes out, it's coming down on the 2/11 instead of the Loot Hoarder. So far right, I believe, is correct positioning. It does make it awkward.
Oh, hold on. Swidz draws the Katharina Winter Wisp, but he also has an amazing mind control tech play too, because the Mechano Egg is going to summon a Stegodon and an 8/8. Two 8/8s, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then he could Carnivorous Cube and Play Dead, but then he'd be worried about dying on the backswing. This is actually a fairly elaborate turn based off what the possibilities are, because if you steal Loot Hoarder, the 1 and 4, you actually just pretty much lose.
So maybe Loot Hoarder on the left is correct to play around Mind Control tech.
Yeah, the 1 of.
I don't know if you're playing around a 1 of.
Most
Even then,
not.
Loot Hoarder may not be backbreaking, or sorry, Mind Control tech may not be backbreaking.
And then there's the option 3, which is go for a Build the Beast option to see if it improves your situation. If you get Ironbeak Owl, or if you get another poisonous Rush minion or something of the sort to help.
Well, he's not under any pressure, so he doesn't... Attacking just puts more power on the board, so I like this play better. He's seen both Consecrations. He knows that Renmen would have to have Wild Pyromancer plus Equality to be able to reach these minions. And even then, he wouldn't be able to kill off the cube in that scenario, so there'd still be 2 4/6s.
Well, there's 2 out of 17 chances to draw it right here, right now with his Loot Hoarder trade. He could Loot Hoarder, True Silver, Pyro Equality.
Oh, man. He'd also get 2 8/8s and the 2/6.
This is scary, too, for Renmen, because he could also just die.
Yeah.
He's not sure about what's actually happening, because Swidz could have an easy way to get past this and then just win with, like, King Crush.
I wonder...
I don't know if there's a really good way around it, to be honest. It might be like choose silver, attack your opponent's face, so that way you go up to 17. So they do have King Crush in the hand. They only can do 16.
Yeah, there's no weapon removal in Swidz's deck. He's opted for Defender of Argus and 1 copy of Microchip Tech over playing Gluttonous Ooze.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Oh, okay. The arrow should
It
be
did.
out,
It
man.
pointed at the cube. I swear it did.
Out. Okay. So the mind control tech can just steal the 211, and then you just clear the board, or you can just pressure from that point on.
Yeah.
Options are really flexible in this spot.
Until dislocated.
Oh, yikes! That is not what you want to see. Actually, what does the nesting rock have for the remaining 2 mana? I was wondering if it had like any kind of way to deal damage, because then maybe Swidz was looking for the actual straight up lethal attempt.
It's just vanilla.
Oh,
7 mana, 6/11.
yeah. Quackalisk.
Wait.
Renmen positioning the Immortal Prelate here, by the way, protected his egg. Yeah, 610 means that it's the River Crocodile. By protecting his egg with the Immortal Prelate, he actually somewhat sabotaged himself, unless he picked up a quality and had just galaxy-level brain IQ. And it was just like, oh, I knew that this would happen. I'd have to top deck it.
The victory.
That is it. Swidz takes game number 2 with Hunter, or game number 3 rather, with Hunter, and moves up 2-1 over Renmen. And this has kind of been back and forth so far. But the big question on him for the season, they beat out Tempo Storm, was finally dethroned as the #1 team.
Yeah.
But at least for just 1 season.
Just 1 season, but sometimes 1 season is all it takes.
Yeah.
Man.
It was Swidz, Monsanto, and Seiko, I believe, and that is quite the trio in terms of the
That
points.
was a
Yeah,
mistake.
Seiko was the #1 point earner in Season 3 for Europe. Not overall throughout the year, but he was able to beat out Hunrace for the total points in the final earning season for HCT. All right, here's the Warrior deck.
Yeah, that the very strange and borderline questionable Warrior deck. You know, let's just call a spade a spade. This deck looks like jank, and I am not convinced until I see Swidz win with it more. But then again, he had to win a series to get here, and in Conquest, you have to win with each deck. So that means this Warrior deck was either banned or it won.
Yeah, to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if he played against one of the standard-ish lineups that would be banned.
Right, like even Paladin,
Yeah.
Rogue type of lineups.
But he also has that Control Mage, so maybe, Control Mage doesn't really draw bans ever, I don't think. I think the Control Warrior would. More so because of its wealth of removal.
yeah, maybe if you play like every possible even deck in the game, you'd ban
Yeah.
the big spell mage. Even then, you still have like the Paladin against it, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
But this matchup, I don't know how it'll go, because I don't think Renmen can apply enough pressure to just kill Swidz.
Reporting for duty.
But Renmen almost can't lose in fatigue because of the Immortal Prelate. Swidz does not have a silence effect or a polymorph effect in his Warrior deck.
Yep, that's a good point. Can't really see anything else.
I'm trying to... He could Death Grip it with the Lich King.
I guess.
Whoa,
yeah.
he could Death Grip it with the Lich King!
I mean, Geosculptor Yip can summon big stuff too, and then you can always discover a mech with Dr. Boom. But those are just very corner case, unreliable endgame strategies. So, based off the way you're mapping it out, I mean, the Paladin does look pretty good against the Warrior, which is probably why Renmen queued this up in the game.
Yeah, the thing about it is, if Renman's initial game plan doesn't work, then the backup game plan could mean that we're going to be in this matchup for a couple hours.
Whew.
Buckle up.
I didn't bring enough pillows, man. If that's the case. It might be a very long night, but
You didn't bring any pillows.
I didn't bring any pillows. I gave you all my extra clothes, apparently.
These suspenders are mine, though. It's quite difficult to find industrial strength suspenders.
That's right, cargo strength level. This is
Yeah.
what they use to transport, I believe, missiles, ICBM missiles.
No, this is what I use to
Secure.
to strap down my storage containers on the top of my car. I just took it off and was like, "This'll do."
True. I might need to borrow those for our next ski trip.
There's a lot to suspend, Dan.
What now?
Swidz thinking about what he wants to drop here. He picked up that Ordinary Direhorn, which is just like decent stats on the board, but doesn't look very appealing. Ends up going for a Warpath to semi-clear the board. guess that's okay. It's not amazing. And more importantly, if Renmen just attaches a Spike or Steed or cubes this, you know, what is he going to do after that?
Take a lot of damage. Maybe start getting the value train with Dr. Boom.
Well, he does have the Shield Slam available to him right now. And, you know, maybe Swidz is thinking about, should I find ways to just even, like, use this opportunity to be aggressive? Like, do I pick +3 attack instead to try to see if I can put a little more pressure? Because +1/+1, I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference here outside of a Pyromancer.
The 8/8 trades over it. If he goes for +3 attack, the cube doesn't trade over it, but it'll die when it trades it. Well, it'll die when it trades it anyway, but if he forced the 8/8 over it, then it would die too.
Well, I'm assuming he's just going to shield slam.
Yeah.
6/6 means that it survives just a little bit more, so less damage, a little bit more consistent. Still dies to Consecration, still dies to you know, a weapon like a True Silver. Renmen can immediately also play the Kangor's Endless Army, but there's only 2 mechs. It's the Robosaur and the Mechano Egg itself that's died.
Robosaur.
Thanks for the contribution, TJ, to this excellent Tier 1 cast. Okay, so no Spike or Steed trade. I was kind of anticipating a little bit more proactivity there. Does Swidz have a silence? He does not.
No.
Huh, okay. So, valuing... Okay, so this values Renmen digging deeper into his deck and clearing off his opponent's minions. I don't know. I felt like Spike Steeds accomplished similar things while keeping a little bit more board presence. Just
6 armor.
Oh, Mosher Master Z. It's a new card, one of my favorite cards actually from Raskon's Rumble.
Yeah, I thought it would be more impactful than it ended up being. It's kind of a tech card, more so than anything.
Yeah, it's like fantastic against, like, you know, a Death Knight Paladin setup, or if you're trying to really like restrict your opponent's control pre stuff or Mech Cthulhu. It basically wins you the game at that point because you're so invested in that comp.
It's just hard to find places, decks to use it in that don't need the mana as well. The best use is in even Warlock, because even Warlock, a lot of times, once your threats are gone, you don't really have a way to win, especially in slower control matchups.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. Although this matchup's not really going slow whatsoever now. Renmen just destroyed his own board and summoned 2 Robosaurs, so even if Swidz clears this off, Renmen's waiting with the Endless Army, because 3 Robosaurs would have died at this point, along with the couple eggs.
Yeah, and he's hoping he baits out some removal here, and then Brawl is the removal that's left, and you can't Brawl a board with 3 Mechano Eggs. Because there's going to be 4 Robosaurs left, and you're going to be sad.
I know the feel all too well.
Didn't Brian Kibler make a song about the Robosaur?
Yeah.
Robosaur, the last Robosaur.
Mechano Egg, the last Robosaur.
He's got Robos and a whole lot more.
Yeah, I think word for word. I believe Shiro sang that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Renmen picks up the Spear Singer Umbra. That is the dream. Spear Singer Umbra plus the Carnivorous Sphere.
The Omnivorous Cube, I think, is the correct terminology for it. Because,
oh man, what a board, TJ. That is just so much damage. 16, 20, 23. Swidz could die next turn.
And then if he clears this board, then he has to deal with Kangor's Endless Army, which will summon a bunch of the Robosaurs back.
That was a lot of respect for a 1-2 that might win a brawl, but, you know, that's what Renmen's feeling right now. Does not want to sacrifice that possibility. And if Swidz does go for that brawl, which, you know, is exactly what he was thinking about.
And Renmen assumes the Renmen kill stance, as I like to call it, where he sits back, takes a sip of water, and puts a smirk on his face.
Well, I mean, Swidz does have some counterplay opportunities. I'm wondering what he could do with, say, Army of the Dead. And unfortunately, I think he's drawn some of his best minions already, like Celiax and you know, Lich King itself and Jace Sculptor. Yeah. Oh my. Swidz went for a Dr. Boom, hoping for something different than Delivery Drone, I imagine. Maybe a Mega Assembly can help him find some very fast mechs. Okay. Unpowered Mauler can attack this turn. This is looking pretty ugly, TJ. Not very good for Swidz.
Not at all.
Oh my goodness! Wait, there's no more eggs.
There's no more eggs.
Wait, is there a loot holder though? Oh no, it doesn't matter. I was thinking about other death routes you can activate.
There's a prelate.
Well, I was thinking like, oh, you can just like Spiker Steed the meat wagon and pull out like another death route minion, but yeah, it doesn't work that way. It summons. It pulls based off what the immediate attack is on the wheat wagon.
If only it reevaluated every time you played a card.
Yeah.
So you could just keep buffing it, and every time you buffed it, like say with Sound the Bells, it would summon a minion.
Yeah, so Spear the Frog.
Yeah. Oh, there wasn't a Mechano egg.
Oh, it's 'cause he kept cubing it.
He cubed it. The
Good
cube died.
lord, TJ, that's a lot of stats. And that was not the last Robosaur whatsoever.
I mean, I said he's got Robos and a whole lot more.
Basically death for Swidz unless the Brawl can bail him out here. Brawl would still summon a handful of 8/8s.
Yep. 3 8/8s to be exact, plus a 2/6. I don't even know what he's hoping for at this point.
I'm looking to see if he has a Reckless Flurry. Because that would still mean he's dead. But he doesn't have it.
Does not have Reckless Flurry.
Yeah, instead of Reckless Flurry, he's opted for a little bit more proactive responses like the Militia Commander and whatnot.
Instead of Reckless Flurry, he's opted to play even cost cards. That's basically what it comes down to.
It's true. Alright, do we have lethal here?
How can he put the damage in? He needs to do 6.
So the meat wagon dies,
Put
then you can choose Silver and Spiker Steed.
He does have lethal?
Yes, he should.
Yeah.
Because
he's got 30 damage.
Yeah. You Steed the 4/6 trade-in, they gain 10 life, so that they're at 20, sorry. I can't count. 27, 28. Then you just keep punching.
Yep.
GG. Well played. Renmen's going to take game number 4, and this Warrior deck, which when I was first looking at it, I'm like, oh, it's a Control Warrior deck of some kind, but then upon further analysis, ends of time. It's a fun deck.
I love Cube Warlock, and I'm pretty sure I've told you this story, and probably many people who are watching right now this story, but...
You hate on Cube Warlock.
I did. I did not like Cube Warlock when it was a dominating force in the metagame. It was in every lineup. It's how I feel about Secret Hunter right now. It wasn't fun, because it just won. It did broken things. Now it does pretty fair things. Sometimes they're broken, but they're a little bit more fair than they used to be. And it takes more time for them to do broken things, which means they lose to aggro decks.
That's fair.
And it's cool. Cuban stuff.
Yeah, I like a lot of the combos that you can just pull off with specifically Faceless and Prince Tal'Daram cubing, because there's just some really interesting shenanigans, and I wonder if that's going to play a factor whatsoever for this game.
And Spirits and Umbra.
Yeah. You have to be careful with what you play onto the board, because if you anticipate your opponent copying it, then you're just basically giving them free reign to swing back on the other side, just to grab tempo right back.
This is not the hand that he wanted to see, though. Renmen wanted early Mountain Giant. Skull, not the best card against Swidz's deck, because he's got 3 different forms of weapon removal with 2 weapons projects plus a Harrison Jones, so very unlikely that his Skull would stick, even if he just jammed it on turn 5. We already see the Harrison Jones, and Had 3 opportunities to pick up something to be able to deal with it. So Renmen's going to have to fight the old-fashioned way by playing stuff from his hand. And I saw a lot of new age Cube Warlocks playing the Jeklik.
High
Priestess Jeklik.
Yeah, or like the Kelsets. So we've seen some Cube Warlocks cut Defile and Doomsayer, which is a little bit heretical to me. But, you know, they have Prince Kelset to buff the cubes and the Void Lords, and it's just like really small. You're like, how much can that really matter? It matters a lot. Turns out Kelset on 2 with even Cube Warlock, it's still a fantastic start.
But turns out there's oftentimes a Defile clear.
Yeah, Defile is obviously much better for what Cube Warlock's trying to do, which is survive the early game, but it's just interesting to consider that people were trying to mess around with the Prince Kelset inside the Cube Warlock, because they already have Prince Talgram. I say why stop there? Let's just go for the Prince Valenier as well.
Spiritseeker Umbra is a very valuable resource that Renmen threw out. Even if that had stuck around, there wasn't even really much value that Renmen could have been able to eke out of it. And he just kind of gives it up. Even in the late game, that's a big tool.
So you'd rather give up? You'd rather just like play Carnivorous Cube instead?
So many.
Yeah, I honestly don't know which one's better in that situation. I guess Cube is better, but maybe even just rip a Hellfire there. The Swidz ain't gonna pressure you. He's not gonna do much of anything. He's gonna draw a card each turn and then armor up.
Yeah, it feels good because he's allowing Renmen to extend more onto the board, and then be able to answer it with these big swingy cards. The Shield Slams is fantastic. Execute, Warpath, you name it, Swidz got it.
Doomguard. He doesn't have that because he's not even a Warlock. Dan, you said you name it, he's got it. I named it, he doesn't have it.
You're right. You got me, TJ.
You told me a flat-out lie.
Checkmate.
How dare you? This is what I talked about. Nothing. Except removal, which is honestly just what he needs right now. Does Renmen have any way to fight the long game? He's got a Rin!
It's a pretty big Zilliax. I mean...
Dan, he's got a Rin.
Until I see it being in use, I'm not going to even really address that because I don't know if Renmen can even play for that right now.
I addressed it, Dan. He's got a Rin. Rin the last Kaleidosaur. She's got seals and a whole lot more. Actually, that's all she has.
Do you like that note? I think it makes sense, right? Just make sure that you set up your best defenses as possible.
Yeah.
In fact, you can even just get past it with a very simple combination of cards, but it is a little bit wasteful.
I don't think Rin even matters for Swidz. I think he just holds on to Dead Man's Hand until Rin comes out, and then once it blows up his deck, he just shuffles back in. Still wins in Fatigue because Renmen draws so many more cards than him.
Honor made to fit.
So I think you're right. I don't even think Rin's going to matter in this one. And Renmen just not able to apply pressure at all. Mountain Giant stopped in his tracks. Woodlord not even the greatest tool because there's pressure, which is what Renmen needs to do. Eventually just needs to kill him.
Yeah, Swidz is given all the time that he wants to set up a good board. And then, you know, of course, Renmen's been trying to do the same thing, but very unsuccessful, relatively speaking. And, you know, Swidz having things like War Weapon Tech while Renmen can't do anything about it is also just tends to be a very swingy state of the game. Like if you spend your entire 5 mana setting up Skull and your opponent just destroys it with like a weapon or a ruse. I mean, this is a cool combo too, very neat. Forcing your opponent to have 3 charges of their weapon through a weapons project and then immediately Harrison Jones.
Does have to dump a card though, unless he wants to burn something. I guess he could dump Shield Slam.
Shield Slam is still just so good though.
Yeah, most of the time I like to save my shield slams for 9-mana minions. Oh, wait. I guess coin is a little bit of a easier resource to give up in that regard.
Is this a defile opportunity? Nope, I'm just gonna play straight up Void Lord number 2. The big boy daddy.
Darkness rises.
Alright, Swidz picks up Dynamatic numero 2.
I like the.
I'm very talented. I'm a multi-language caster, TJ.
I like the infusion of culture into the cast.
Which is neither of them speak Spanish. They speak French and Russian.
Dinomatic numero.
Wait, you speak French?
Your
wife is French.
Well, she's French Canadian. Yes.
Might as well be French. Sorry,
I'm not fluent in French.
When I say that, it's because they're fully fluent in French, right? Most French Canadians grow up speaking.
They grow up speaking French, yes.
That's why I meant. For anybody that's always like, well, how could you just assume that?
It's weird because it's a little bit of a different. I wouldn't even call it a dialect. It's kind of the difference between American English and UK English, or even if you want to get real.
What about
saucy
English?
or American English versus Deep South American English.
Ooh, so Admirable English. Yeah. When Admiral gets really angry and he starts going and he has arrowhead water, oh, the South comes out of him like crazy. Renmen gets the Blade for Gul'dan down, and it turns out Warlock was the one who paid for that wall. Swidz, what are you gonna do? You got Brawl. You got Dynamatics and some Rush minions. You can piece together some removal, but it doesn't look like you're going to be able to pressure it anytime soon. And part of what Swidz' build, it seems more like a mid-range build, right? Like to have Geosculptor, Yip, Lich King, so you can like curve out after you play all these Rush minions in the mid-game.
You're trying to make sense of this deck, Dan, and I'm
really trying hard.
Work.
I am trying so hard, TJ, just to not flame Swidz right now. But not because I think he's better. I think he's a fantastic player. Just, you know, this deck is not working out the way I think it should be. I mean, it could be the fact that he's just running into Renmen's lineup. It could just be the fact that Swidz is trying to beat other aggressive decks and lineups.
In this matchup, I think it's fine. In this matchup, I think it's just doing its job.
But, I mean, when you say doing its job, so you think Swidz is an advantage right now?
I mean, he's just doing...
Okay, so
he's removing everything on the board.
Here's the alternative game plan. The fatigue count is actually fairly even. So if Swidz can get to a pretty good stabilization point and go toe-to-toe in resources, he's not going to fall super far behind because of Bloody River Gul'dan's hero power if he's able to get massive value off of things like Brawl and all of his removal with Rush minions. This is Renmen's very desperate attempt to use cards and free up hand space while putting on the good old odd paladin pressure of just non-stop one-attack minions. Warpath number 2. Numero 2.
Numero 2. How do you say that in
You're going to get a very passionate worded letter from the Blizzard France office.
Why? That was a good...
Is that actually?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try. I don't know French, so I'm just gonna go with that. Renmen desperate enough to just even consider going Doomguard from the hand. He's got some good stuff though, like Doomguard and Cube, just the Skull. And even if he did get Skull, he knows that Swidz has that other weapons project potentially ready to go.
Yeah.
And
it's not guaranteed.
So deep into each other's decks.
Let's call a Batman real quick. What's the play?
Doomguard from the hand.
No silence, so he's free to just play this cube.
Yep.
Yep.
The Carnivorous Cube, very powerful because Swidz does not have that silence that we mentioned a few times, and Honestly, it's just Renmen's best insurance against the future brawl. The only unfortunate thing is that he had to ditch his other cube. There only could be one. But yeah, you can see the intensity here from Swidz, because he has a lot of options right now. He can go for double 5, or he can go for the Geosculptor Yip, and it's also like, you know, what kind of 5s does he want? He can play like Direhorn Matriarch and Witchwood Grizzly. He can also play Dynamatic. He's gonna break open the cube to deny Prince Tal the Random Dark Pack or Faceless Synergy.
I could break this cube.
Where's that from?
I watched the I could break these cups video earlier, Dan. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. TJ, your references are just so dank that I can't keep up with it, man. You young guns are just way beyond me now.
You can't break that cube.
I still
I can
don't
break
know
this
what
cube.
your references. Oh, the weapons project, so yeah.
Trying to.
Swidz going for the brawl. Obviously would love Yip to survive, but he just wants to kill those Doom Guards. And kill them he did!
Wow.
And survive!
And he gets an 8 drop from Geosculptor Yip, which is some of the highest value minions in the game come out that 8 slot.
Yip,
Lich
hooray! Give me that Lich King.
What's this one do?
Oh, it's another Kobold. It's a fancy Kobold.
That's not good.
What could it pull from the deck?
Brawl?
It could pull Brawl number 2. It could pull a Omega Assembly.
Okay, Omega Assembly's not bad.
Will it activate the way I think it will?
What do you mean?
Like, because you're on 10 mana crystals, you just get everything, so it would just pull.
Yeah,
and you...
but it's pulling, it's getting him closer to Fatigue, which I don't think matters that much because he has Deadman's Hand, but...
It might. I mean, there's a lot of sustain.
What else?
The Blood Reaver Gul'dan hero power.
Shield block? Is there a shield block left?
Potentially. I don't know. I mean, we know the only card that I've been focusing on has actually been Dr. Boom Mad Genius, because I was wondering if Swidz would choose to play it.
I must feed now.
Right, well, Renmen just plays a pretty weak board, and he does not have a very good answer to just piling on the stats. Swidz trying to weigh his opportunities, thinking, do I go big? Because now I drew the Lich King, and if I can find a really powerful Lich King card like Anti-Magic Shell, this game is locked.
But if he does have a Brawl left in his
deck, yes, and then the
and
Archivist pulls it.
Is there ever a world where he just lets this Doomsayer go off?
No, but the upside of the Yip is really high too. So you can just kill it. Don't do anything.
Just don't do anything, kill it.
See how smart this Grand Archivist really is? Did he truly get his degree, or is he a fraud? He's a fraud, TJ!
Uh-oh. And if the Archivist survives, that just... Okay, Yip.
Can't kill the Yip.
Yip hooray once again.
Well, turns out that Yip wins brawls every time, apparently. And now he's copying the Yip!
He's copying the Rid.
Okay, it looked like he was copying the Yip.
He doesn't even care about the... He wants to be able to destroy the deck twice, so Dead Man's Hand.
Oh, that's pretty funny, but that's not going to work. Because it just takes so much time and mana to do that. You have to...
If he shuffles 8 cards left in his deck, you destroy 4 of those cards because it takes you 4 turns, right?
I don't know, man. I don't even think the Hokage himself could cast that many seals in time.
See, now that reference went over my head. We're now even.
And there we go, balanced as all things should be.
Except my references come from the stupidest of YouTube videos.
What now?
You got me there. I concede that point. So now that Swidz sees 2 Rins, like how is he gonna ever like?
He's in a Dead Man's Hand now?
Yeah. So what's the point of the Dead Man's Hand now? I guess it's because so he can draw as many cards before the deck destruction happens. But isn't there like some kind of interesting ability for you to wait for them to destroy the deck and then send it in?
Force them to destroy it again, or wait until you get just Direhorn hatchlings?
Well,
I don't know. What's his game plan?
I guess it's because he's shuffling a really good amount of... He's shuffling some really high-quality cards like the Lich King in the hand.
But he's not going to have time to draw them. Three Dynamatics.
Okay, and by the way, this Yip has survived a really long time.
It summoned 4 minions now at this point? 3 or 4 minions? Even survived a brawl?
Yeah, it's a lot.
This is the oldest living recorded Geosculptor Yip in the world.
I believe it. I don't think I've ever seen a Yip live this long. And Swidz is going to continue to collect value, and the Armor Smith can help climb the armor count. Swidz was thinking about dropping the Armor Smith first, which would make sense for the trades. So you double trade the 3, you even trade the Yip in. You don't want to trade the Yip in because you want the armor count to be high. So you go to 7. You even swing with the weapon to a 2/2. There's a lot of bad 7
I think you want an 8, so you want to swing with the Yip, but not kill the 2/2.
Okay. The 8's good. I mean, Yip's most likely going to die because your opponent has some combination of Hellfire and I think both the files used. That's still the same game. And then we have the Lord Godfrey. Reasonable. Very mediocre, to say the least, in terms of the results of the Yip and the Lich King. Lord Godfrey.
It is a clear. There's always a Godfrey clear. It is going to gain a lot of armor, but...
I mean, Renmen had a very high chance of clearing as well because you could just bite before the Lord Godfrey.
Yeah.
This is very convenient. The armor gain, too, is really, really nice here for Swidz. Gives them a lot more breathing room. And more importantly, Renmen took another turn off of developing and casting his seals.
A pretty small Witchwood Grizzly with 8 cards being in hand. It's only a 3/4.
I mean, Swidz does have some anti-Azari measures, though. Things like Direhorn Hatchling can also be ways to avoid fatigue in late stages.
Ooh.
Another Lich King. I mean, that's kind of as good as it gets, really, for Swidz here. Has to consider if he wants to be a little bit more tempo-oriented. So let's say if he trades and then plays Dynamatic plus... Nah, that doesn't seem as good, I think.
I think you 3/4 and weapon... Oh, okay. Definitely.
Well, if you play this and Dynamatic, you clear, but you don't... You might hit your Grizzly. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
That's the only caveat I don't like about this setup here. So I was like, oh, Death and PK. These are a reasonable amount of stuff, but maybe he just plays the Direhorn Hatchling instead. Or maybe he attacks and just YOLOs it. Oh, I like it. And I mean, that was a statistically most likely outcome. It just would have been hilarious if he killed his own Witcher Grizzly.
Yeah.
I'm almost out of cards.
Almost out of stuff for Renmen.
Yeah. And the seal is completed. 1 Azari in the hand. And perhaps a blessing in disguise that Renmen did not have his Skull of Minari. Which I think is his 30th card.
It's his last card. Which is funny because now both weapon projects and Harrison Joes have been played. So Skull could pull out the final Doom Guard. Not that it really matters at this stage in the game because he can empty his hand enough to just be able to play it anyway.
Yeah.
It can also cheat out the second Azari that he could get from the second Rin that died.
It's true. Free 10/10 is not bad.
Yeah, and with Swidz not having anything in his deck and just going to be relying on Direhorn Matriarchs after his hatchlings die. He's in big trub, Stan.
Swidz?
Yes, Swidz. Actually, none of these spellstones are not buffed.
They're not buffed.
I guess it doesn't really matter.
But you can still kill it either way.
Yeah.
And then on Renmen's side, once he deals with his Lich King, Swidz only has the cards in his hand to work with. So you kill that with the weapon, play the Azari, and now the fatigue has been equalized.
But Renmen has a ton more resources than Swidz.
Yep, and with no Dr. Boom Mad Genius, you know, Swidz loses the ability to go toe-to-toe with like another powerful hero card. I think because Renmen should also be able to corner down the fact that Weapons Project was most likely not shuffled in with 2 copies being used, this Skull is also free to go. So you could take it really slow in Skull, but is it really the best course of action? Perhaps Renmen wants to go more proactive.
I honestly think the Skull is the best because it delays the pressure, so he can't trade in and get extra armor off the Direhorn Hatchling. He can't make it die, so he's going to not play a 5/6 for another turn or not get the additional card in his deck, take 1 more fatigue for another turn. I guess he's just going to play Hellfire and clear it off. And
he's going to clear the minions. It makes sense, too.
And then clear the Matriarch next turn with double Spellstone, yeah.
Right. If he's able to upgrade his Spellstones, he should be good to go. Just has to worry about that last 6/9.
Yep, and he's got that checked already with double Spellstone in hand, so...
This is really good mapping out from Renmen. Armorsmith's not really the threat. It's really about who can get that inevitability. And now for Swidz, is it all in time? Might be.
I think he can math this one out that he's very dead.
Yeah, so Renmen takes 2 fatigue, and with Blood River Gul'dan's hero power and the 2 Spellstones, giving Renmen up to 13 heal next turn, there's just no chance that Swidz can outvalue him in the fatigue game. He's just going to pass, hope that... oh, sorry. Looked like he was going to pass. But he just essentially plays Matriarch and sees if Renmen has the goods, which he does.
Yeah, the thing I'm most surprised about this game is Swidz' dead man hand usage before the Rin took place.
Yeah, I felt like if you know your deck's going to be destroyed, you would want to place it afterwards and force your opponent to deal with the fatigue stage in this portion of the game, because then Swidz would be drawing a couple of his cards.
Yeah,
like,
he'd be drawing a couple extra, he'd delay fatigue, he'd force Renmen to go for the second seal to destroy the dead man's hand cards.
Right.
Which if he's putting on pressure once Azari is played...
Right.
Which isn't that likely, but if he does, then it could change Renman's game plan, not let him get the seals off as fast. He draws more cards.
Yeah, the difference between Swidz and Renmen's hand is pretty much just a couple minions of stats.
Yeah.
I mean, the seals are really great because it just gives you ways to spend mana and summon minions. But the difference maker is the hero power and the fact that Renmen has a few more cards. So if Swidz had even more cards to go off of to potentially shuffle afterwards, who knows? And Renmen's so comfortable he can just literally cruise at just playing 1 seal and hero powering. Swidz is dead. And that is going to be a 3-2 victory for Renmen, who is putting a nice little run together to potentially challenge another championship run.
Yeah, doing it with his own style as well, bringing a lineup that not many players brought. I would say the only other player that brought a similar lineup to him was... I can't remember, but I believe it's one of his practice partners. They brought him the exact same lineup with 1 deck different. Can't remember, but also had the same Paladin deck that he did, which is kind of the most unique portion of that lineup.
Yeah.
Is that Death Rattle, Cube, Mechano Egg, Kangor's Endless Army Paladin. Who knows what to call it? I think we labeled it mid-range Paladin.
Yeah, that's going to do it. Renmen gets the final hit. And we are going to check in on the rest of round 2 as Renmen advances to